Welcome to the bold analysis. Have you realized that our country, Kenya, and our government has all of a sudden become much concerned and worried about West African coup d'etat? And it borders a question of, it is bit of being your brother's keeper, or we just have insecurity of tenure. I once analyzed about insecurity of tenure, and people follow the bold as when normally when we package a podcast, we package along a concept line. And I know at one point I think I did it on 1st May, yeah? During the Madaraka Day, the day I was in Embu, I remember very well. Insecurity of tenure in the sense that someone feels that my term, I can do one term and go. That is that. But then there is also a bit of, I can do one term, but am I safe even in this term? Let's look at this tweet by Mtaani. They saw it yesterday. Dear Africans, military coups are contagious. What is happening in Niger, Burkina Faso, Guinea, Mali, Sudan happened in 1960s. Then it spread. It is the last frontier of decolonization. The Cold War is back. The theater of war is Africa and its resources. Stupidity reloaded. The theater of war is Africa. And what people are fighting for is the resources. Now, I'm normally so interested in geopolitics. You realize that when war broke out in Sudan, we found ourselves in the middle of it, and our president Ruto was to mediate on behalf of IGAD, even against the wish of a faction of those who are fighting. So we were there, and before we knew, there was some hacking, and someone took credit for that hacking. Someone who had already anonymous Sudan. Then it didn't stop there. When Niger also started, just last week on Wednesday, William Ruto did a video that is ready and willing, condemning the coup, and also ready and willing to mediate. Now, that we seems not to have stopped there. Last week, there was a Russia-Africa Leaders Summit. And in that summit, there was a coup d'etat in Burkina Faso. Kenya, through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, PS Singei, took an issue and confronted Russia. Why? Asking Russia why they offered a warm reception to the transnational Burkina Faso captain Ibrahim Traore, because Ibrahim Traore, the Burkina Faso captain, received a very warm welcome in Russia, where he joined a host of African leaders for the summit. And Kenya responded by saying, normalization and dignifying of military takeovers must trouble our great continent. A major rollbacks to the democratic gains so far made, the Kenyan Ministry of Foreign Affairs stated. And then you wonder, why are we the ones talking about it? But then you'll not hear Sami Suluhu talking about. You'll not hear, even Museveni here is very quiet. Even our neighbors are very quiet. But Kenya seems to be overbothered about this war. And he said, Kenyan minister said, that Russian president's decision to invite coup leader Captain Traore to the summit appears to encourage or condone such military takeovers, which goes against the tenets of democracy. Now, Captain Traore, whom you're seeing there, I've been seeing the photo, led a coup against sitting president Paul Henry Damiba, who was legitimately elected by the people through a democratic process. This is, however, a Cold War. Kenya is raising concern alarm about the resurgence of coups in Africa, and particularly within the Sahel countries. Those are the Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger, and all that lot. But if you want to know, this is the modern day Cold War, because if you look at the West, the France, Russia, of course Sahel countries, most of them are colonized by French, they're more on democratic processes on the election. You realize that the leaders that are suffering, that are undergoing the coup d'etat, are leaders after an election. After an election, like Niger, there was an election. The same to Burkina Faso. So even in here, we have an election. But why is it that legitimately elected leaders are now, how are the militaries being infiltrated, even for them to dare do these coup d'etats? But there is a lot of interest into how Kenya, we've gotten into this, because I followed Niger, and why I'm telling you it's the modern day Cold War. Niger, France and the US and the other Europe countries are now evacuating their citizens from the region, from the area, and have also stopped aid. And do you know what Niger responded? They responded by, they reacted by stopping exportation of uranium to France. Out of 3 batteries used in France is made of uranium from Niger and other West African countries. So they knew very well that there is a big scramble for these resources. Now Russia welcomed this, and they were allowed by their military. In fact, after the summit, there are photos of them being seen shopping for guns while in Russia. And you know, Russia and the West, the France, the US, the Britain, they don't meet eye to eye, especially in the context after that Ukraine invasion. So you look at the level in which that issue is, the scramble for Africa is, but Kenya seems to be dipping its foot. And you know, we are testing the depth of the ocean with our feet. That's it. And Kenya confronted Russia on that. I'm honestly, it could be in order, yes, to condemn takeovers. And of course, yes, legitimately elected president should not be. It could be a very good, a very honest position. But was it necessary? And why are we insecure? And we are more concerned about the coups in West Africa to an extent that someone really doubts what exactly is the problem. But I want to tell you this. There are 3 reasons of what is going on now. Our country, Kenya, we have porous electoral system. We have porous electoral system because one of the reasons behind coup is a bit of autocratic leadership, where there are also people who feel like the electoral process do not produce the leaders that the sovereign has picked. And because of this, of course, the best example is August 2022 general election. And I saw that school of thought from a gentleman, from one gentleman here, was saying that our August 2022 general election was was a good testimony to show us that our electoral system is penetrable. Yes. So if there is a probability that some Western powers lifted William Ruto to presidency, then what William Ruto then knows is that our electoral system is penetratable. And you know, we're in a very fragile, in fact, Kenya, that is why I believe that the leadership must then have the resolve to solve the electoral malpractices. We need to have our structures working out. Number 2, I think all of this is some Pan-Africanism posturing, because Kenya have tried to posture as the Messiah of Africa. So it could also border the Pan-Africanism posturing that William Ruto has been doing. The resurgence is a global shift, power shift, and can be spread. Even now, I was understanding, I was reading actually saw one of the stories that Putin is heading to India, and the Indian PM is really in dilemma, some balancing act on whether to welcome Putin or not, in respect to the global war. Actually supposed to attend the G20 summit in India. And it has really been causing a lot of international talk. So there is a global power shift. And that is why we need to tread very careful. Otherwise, we are going to pick some battles that surely do not belong to us.